Chapter 58. A Train of Thought. The next day, a Monday morning, Klein, who had the day off, didn't leave home. Instead, he gave Melissa his letter directed to mentor Cohen Quinton and more than enough money to buy stamps. He entrusted her with the job of mailing the letter at the post office near the Tingen Technical School where she studied. After breakfast, he slept in to make up for the lack of sleep caused by the previous night's work. He only woke up because of his stomach's grumblings close to noon. He heated up some leftovers from the night before and ate them with a loaf of rye bread. Klein grabbed a newspaper and entered the bathroom on the second floor. Whenever he did that, he couldn't help but sigh at the lack of a cell phone. After about 7 or 8 minutes, he left the toilet refreshed and washed his hands. He then returned to his bedroom and locked his door. Klein drew the curtains, lit up the gas lamp, and cogitated for half an hour. After practicing his spiritual vision, spirit dowsing, and dowsing rod for half an hour, he spent another hour mentally reviewing the mysticism knowledge he had gained recently. After doing that, he ripped up the old newspaper and crumpled them into a few balls. He wrote on them moonflower candle, full moon essence oil, and other names of materials. He followed the prescribed steps of ritualistic magic in his head in order to master every little detail. Until he was entirely familiar with it, he didn't intend to try ritualistic magic because it was both a waste of materials and also easily attracted danger. He repeated again and again until he picked up his silver pocket watch patterned with vine leaves and took a glance. He realized that it was 2:45. He considered for a few seconds and brought the scraps of old newspapers to the kitchen on the first floor to burn them. While doing so, he made sure he was in an optimal state of mind as he prepared for the tarot gathering. Locking his bedroom door once again, Klein didn't wait for the clock to strike 3. He planned to enter the area above the gray fog ahead of time. He wanted to seize the chance to explore the place thoroughly. As Klein stood in an empty spot in his room and started walking counterclockwise, he suddenly worried that Justice and the Hanged Man had yet to enter a suitable environment. He thought of a particular matter. Would they be disturbed or discovered? He had previously mentioned to allow Justice and the Hanged Man to apply for leave ahead of time if they needed to be absent from the gathering for some reason, such as being unable to find time alone or unexpected circumstances. It would have been an almost unsolvable problem for Klein in the past. There was no way he could build an entire server-based internet by hand in a different world, right? Any technology beyond the telegram could expose him. But now, he had suddenly found inspiration from ritualistic magic. Ritualistic magic borrows the powers of others by seeking the help of different existences. Similar incantations would make it clear who it is directed to in the beginning, such as the Evernight Goddess or the Lady of Crimson. It would be a description of the unknown and clandestine existences. Then, can I amend the chant and redirect the beginning of the chant towards myself? Direct it at me. This way, even if Justice and the Hanged Man conduct the ritual in different locations, I would receive their messages. Klein suddenly felt fresh insight as he began analyzing the likelihood of the method working. There are 2 difficulties. First, I am not an incredibly strong high-level sequencer. Even if the description of the incantation was directed to me, I couldn't possibly receive the request. Second, how can I ensure that the description of the chant is directed at me accurately and doesn't stray away and hit some other unknown existence that fits the description? That would be incredibly dangerous. Klein paced back and forth, deep in thought for a possible workable solution. He went in circles with silent footsteps. Then, he naturally linked the matter with the mysterious world of the gray fog. Even if I can't receive the message, that doesn't mean the gray fog can't. Its connection with the crimson stars can drag a person into the space directly, regardless of where they are in the physical world. I could consider tying myself to the mysterious space together during the directed description. In accordance with this train of thought, even though I might not immediately receive the request when the other party is holding the ritual, I will still be able to see the corresponding messages whenever I enter the gray fog. To put it simply, it is the difference between being online and offline on an instant messaging system. Klein became more excited the more he thought. He felt that his idea was worth a try. What kind of description could be used to precisely direct a message to me and to the gray fog world? He started thinking about the actual details. In fact, he had an incantation that would definitely work. It was none other than the lone translation of the celestial worthy of heaven and earth for blessings. But herein lies the problem. He would lose control of the gray fog and lose his leading role. He could only exclude it. The fool from an alternate world? No way. It is quite accurate, and there is almost no other existence that fits the criteria, but it would expose my biggest secret. Klein thought of one incantation after another, but he crossed off each one. After about 7 to 8 minutes, he finally decided on the description of the first paragraph that directed to him. The fool that doesn't belong to this era. It was obviously not accurate enough, therefore Klein quickly added, the mysterious ruler above the gray fog. The combination of the two lines practically limited it to him. Furthermore, he had tied the gray fog to him. It's still a little short. I cannot eliminate the possibility that there are multiple spaces and rulers above the gray fog. I cannot eliminate the fact that the description might be directed to the spirit world. Klein creased his eyebrows and planned on making it more certain. He thought for a full minute and finally decided on the last part of the description. The king of yellow and black who wields good luck. It shared a similar meaning to the exalted arch of heaven and earth for blessings. If the incantation purely depended on that part of the description, it might end up being directed away and provoking unknown dangerous existences. But with the first two lines as a limitation, and his experience of arriving above the fog through a similar incantation, he believed that the target's description could result in a perfect lock-on. The most important question is the identity of the entity that the ritual is directed. Where is he, and why doesn't he give me any clues or guidance? Could he be deep in the world of fog? Can I treat him as an entity in slumber, an entity that would give fixed responses if I give him a certain stimulus, but would not interfere with what I do other than that? Then I can introduce a different ritual as a stimulus and conclude whether the feedback I receive is regular. That way, I can find the correct method of returning. But the problem lies in the possibility that he is not asleep. In that case, such tests might result in terrifying outcomes. It might be really dangerous. The first attempt must be conducted with extreme caution. The design must not anger the being. What a headache. I need more knowledge. Klein sighed and gave a summary. Finally, he wrote down other miscellaneous items. There are always formless voices resonating in my ears, shouting Hornacis and, was it saying Phrygia or Phagria? Hornacis is the mountain range dividing the Lone Kingdom and the Intis Republic. Its main peak is 6,000 meters above sea level. According to the records in the Antigonus family's diary, there existed a nation of the Evernite in the fourth epoch. Is the nation of the Evernite related to the Evernite goddess? Is there any connection between the two? Are they allies or enemies? Was the Antigonus family obliterated by the Church of Evernite due to nation of the Evernite? Did I hear murmurings coming from the diary, from the howls of the Antigonus family over 1,000 or 2,000 years? What then does Phrygia mean? An interesting question. To be able to leave behind such a diary, to leave behind sealed artifact 2-049 implies that the Antigonus family had possession of a relatively powerful beyonder power. If that is so, which sequence did they possess? Was it complete or not complete? My realization that the diary is in the hands of Ray Bieber was a bit of a coincidence, but without any indication of it being arranged, could my fate really be tied up with that diary's? His ideas were penned on the pieces of paper. Klein tried his best to write down the events he had experienced and his guesses about their meaning. He wrote a total of 4 pages on both sides of each paper. Rip. Klein suddenly tore off the 4 pages and read them from top to bottom, sometimes marking certain sections with his pen, adding a few sentences at other times. Time flew quickly. The crimson moon was temporarily covered by dark clouds. Klein picked up the pocket watch on the table, snapped it open, and looked at the time. He put down the watch and took out a box of matches from his drawer. He lit one and brought it close to the 4 pages of notes. The orange flame ignited the edges of the paper and quickly spread. Klein placed the notes on top of the wooden dustbin and watched the ashes drop. He then released his fingers, allowing the papers to fall. In just 10 seconds, everything had disappeared. All that was left was the still swirling ash and the charred bottom of the dustbin. As there was Emperor Rosel's secret diary in this world, Klein did not dare leave behind any evidence that he knew how to write Chinese. If old Neil and the rest discovered the 4 pieces of paper he wrote, he would have no idea how to explain the matter. And while writing the confidential questions, Klein was worried that the one paying attention to his dreams would be able to see and decipher the contents no matter which language he used, be it Lone, Ancient Phasak, or Hermes. Therefore, he could only write notes in Chinese to organize and summarize. After he was done with the task, he burned the notes to leave no traces. And precisely because there was no way of saving, he set up a plan for himself. He would do this summary once a week just in case he forgot anything. As he watched the ashes fall, Klein pulled out a white piece of paper. He wrote the title, "To my respected mentor." He wanted to write to Senior Associate Professor Quentin Cohen, asking if he had any relevant historical information about the main peak of the Hornacis mountain range.